As you can tell, well, you can't tell because this is not your hand. Hello and welcome to Lap of the World. I'm Richard, and if this is your first time watching, or if you're new here, this is the channel on which I'm documenting my attempt to drive every road course in the world, as well as documenting some of the ancillary activities that support that end goal, such as sort of the case today. Now, by this point, you guys are probably familiar with, or most of you are familiar with, my 1992 Acura NSX that is my primary conveyance for the track driving bit of my adventures here. And if you've seen the last couple of videos, you know I've been doing some work to it, just to mainly keep it track worthy and things like that. However, in the meantime, kind of as a while you were in there or while the car is already apart item, there's something else I wanted to take care of that is really not mission critical, but it's been a little bit of a pain point for me over the years. You know, I haven't always had the resources to keep the car cosmetically in top shape. You know, I have had, paint correction done in the past, which worked very well. I've generally tried to keep everything, maintained as well as I could appearance-wise, with two primary exceptions, I would say. One being the front bumper, which has some paint issues, and it came to me with a really shoddy repair, courtesy of whoever the previous owner had do some body work. Didn't do that great of a job. I've always been kind of paranoid about fixing the bumper because I know as soon as I get it looking immaculate, that's when some suicidal raccoon is going to put itself out of its own misery, to my detriment. So that is probably ridiculous, and I should probably just go ahead and get something done at least as a stopgap, if not replacing the bumper cover itself. And that's a video for another day. What I'm getting to today is the other point that I've had, which is the interior. Now, the car has nearly 300,000 miles on it at this point. We're at 279,000, giving myself a little too much credit here, 279,654 miles as of this recording. And it frankly showed. You'll be kind of seeing a walk around here as I'm doing this, but the seat bolsters were messed up. The shift knob's not bad. Some of the rest of the interior has some of the plastic, and the coatings on the plastic are starting to fail a little bit. The steering wheel doesn't look new, we'll put it that way. And the infamous knee bolster, in the course of having that thing on and off several times to do some electrical work under the dashboard, the clips failed on that, so it's currently off the car. So it really is kind of a basket case. It's, on the track, looks gorgeous. You get up and start really looking around at it, and I'm sure some, concourse judge would need his paper airplane bag or something like that. I'd get cited for war crimes, never mind not winning the show. So, having said that, I am now taking a step that is, as I say, long overdue, and I'm getting the seats taken care of. And that is indeed why there are no seats in the car. And you can also see some of this other random, this I'm not worried about too much, because once you have the seat in, it covers all this shenanigans up. But this is where somebody failed really hard at at body clip removal there. And I don't know what else they did over there. I have no idea. This predates me, to my credit, I guess. The passenger side is really actually pretty nice, but the driver's side, somebody done jacked some stuff up there. I guess they were probably storing stuff behind the seat like I do, but I can guarantee I haven't put any additional holes back there. But getting back to the point, the chairs are currently out of the car. They're in the back of the truck, and before I forget, let's go take a look at them, and I'll show you kind of a before. So here's the passenger seat, and it's, it's not too much worse for wear. It's got, definitely the leather has some nicks and scratches on it. You can see right here, just kind of where stuff has been drug across it. The headrest is nearly perfect. And got a little dimple over there. And then the sort of accordion expansion joints down here are, you know, they're definitely starting to get a little crusty. That's the one place where this, one place where this seat is legitimately damaged is over here. I don't know, get that where it's not glaring so much, but you can see it's, oh, there we go. It's just like, you know, completely split the seam. And this is in spite of my best efforts. I've been pretty good about, you know, trying to regularly condition the seat since I've owned the car, but by the time I bought it in 2008, they were already pretty far gone. But I guess that's, you know, these are still the original skins for seats with, you know, 200-something thousand miles on them at the time that I bought it, and now nearly 300,000 miles on them, so on balance, not too bad. The driver's seat is much worse for wear, as you might imagine. So we've got a little bit of splitting going on down here on this corner. The main damage is obviously the bolster over here. You know, you just kind of rub on that getting in and out of the car almost no matter what you do. You know, me being not exactly the tallest person in the world, I tend to have the seat really close to the wheel, you know, also just to, you know, maintain good sport driving position. And that's not really conducive to avoiding the bolster on the way in and out of the car. So that's what it is. Another thing up here recently I saw where I did, I have trouble doing this with, like, you know, let's see here, how well can I juggle lights and cameras and stuff. But this recently opened up here as well. What I'm going to go back with then, talking to you from my office now, home office, are some pretty straightforward, simple black leather covers from Rides.com, R-I-D-I-E-S. No affiliation or sponsorship. They did a group buy for NSX owners, and I managed to jump in on that because it was probably about half what I would expect to pay for seat covers. And as you can tell, well, you can't tell because this is not your hand, but the leather is actually really pretty supple. The stitching is neat and tidy. The grain in the leather is probably about equivalent to the grain in the leather of the original seats, which is, you know, to say it's not very large grained. But yeah, no, they all overall feel of pretty high quality, and they even have these factory nylon attachment devices included with them. Now, that's only half the battle, and I'm actually having a local shop install these for me because they were willing to do it for, we'll say, less than I anticipated my time and frustration being worth doing it myself and having to, you know, go get some hog ring pliers and things like that. Anyhow, so the next thing you will see will hopefully be very new looking seats. And indeed, here they are. Freshly back from the cover install that was performed at the Farragut location of American Radio, of all places. Yes, they do upholstery as well, and they did a really good job on their installation. I'm always somewhat concerned when I'm giving car parts to shops that they actually come back intact, but all the plastics and stuff like that are still there. None of the control modules have been damaged, as I'm like tripping over stuff on the floor back here. But yeah, so that's what you have. Just kind of a quick walk around of what they look like now. This is the driver's seat. And I didn't really option these out. The order form with Rides pretty much would let you do almost anything you wanted to. So you could have, you know, this a different color. You could have, you know, Alcantara. You could have leather. You could have, you know, basically whatever you wanted put in there. You could have some custom like embroidery in the headrest like I see all the time. I really didn't go nuts. The only thing I did do was I opted for the perforated seat cushion leather. So I've still got the original style, just smooth leather here, but the inserts are now perforated, which I'm hoping will help with the, you know, posterior region humidity quotient living in the southeast during the summer. You know, the car's air conditioning does work pretty well, but there's only so much you can do on a 90-degree day with 70% humidity. So anyhow, I'm really pleased with how they've turned out. I'm going to get them in the car. I'll show you a picture of them then, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, well, there you go. That's 2 seats successfully installed, and I'm really pretty excited about how this has come out. I think, especially on the driver's side, it's really changed the car. You know, your first impression is no longer a jacked up seat bolster, but rather some pretty nice leather. And I guess as a PSA or whatever, right? You know, I did have a little bit of concern going with the black because, you know, obviously this is not the same batch of leather as they used when the car was new. But without really staring at it, if you're just looking at first blush from, you know, or, you know, passing by or whatever, you can't really tell too much that the, you know, that the leather is different from the leather anywhere else in the car. You know, save for the fact that these look new and some of the rest of the leather, like the, you know, the armrest compartment cover and stuff like that are kind of still dinged up a little bit. But, you know, 1 or 2 more things like that, like if you did the armrest cover and like a shift boot or something at the same time, then I don't think anybody would be any the wiser. So yeah, you know, much success. Can highly recommend both. Do appreciate both righties for supplying the skins as well as American Radio for putting them on efficiently. And I might add, very inexpensively compared to some other quotes that I got. So yeah. There you have it, folks. All right, so now that we have the seats installed back in the NSX and my wife and I actually have somewhere to sit for this coming weekend's drive, we can probably call it there for the day. Speaking of that drive, if you're an NSX owner or an NSX Club member for that matter, if you would like to join us for driving some scenic roads in the eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina area, as well as attending the Harper Cars and Coffee event as a group, we are doing that on the 13th and 14th, respectively, of July. If you want details, please message me on Facebook, Instagram, or email me at richard@lapoftheworld.com, and I'm happy to fill you in with some details there. Now, what's coming up on Lap of the World next? Well, we will finish the header install so the car is actually drivable for the aforementioned event. And then I've also heard word that I should be able to pick up the Gallardo wheels anytime. So we'll get to unveil that pretty soon too. So if you want to get a notification when all that happens, click the subscribe button, click the bell, it'll happen. In the meantime, I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and I will see you in the next video, if not at the track.